to another episode of Coaches and Coffee. Thank you to our friends at Southland Credit Union for keeping this going, and our good friend Tom Lint for being such a great supporter of beach athletics over the years. And then, of course, our friends on 2nd Street at Polly's Coffee. Got my mug here, so we're enjoying some Polly's Coffee this morning. We've got a great show for you, as I said. We got the track team here. We've got the entire coaching staff here, so it's going to be a good time. I'm going to turn it over now to Coach Sythe. Coach has been here for, is it 33 years now, Coach?
Starting 33rd, yeah.
Starting his 33rd year now. So I won't tell Coach where I was 33 years ago. But we're going to go ahead and let him introduce his staff and give us a state of the program. So welcome, Coach.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. We'll start off with Coach Sheffield. LaTanya Sheffield is in her 9th season at Long Beach State coming up. In 2016 and 2021, she was selected as the U.S. Olympic coach for the women's sprints, hurdles, and relays team. She's been part of 6 championships while she's been here in those 8 years. And so we're excited to have her with us. Sean Winget is starting his 5th season at Long Beach State, and that's something I'm awfully proud of. He's been part of 3 titles during those 5 years that he's been here. Coach Lobel starting his 15th season as a coach with Long Beach State, 20th season if you count back to the year he entered the program as a student athlete. He's been part of 8 championships with our program. And Brandon Heerholzer starting his 7th season at Long Beach State, 10th if you count his years as a student athlete. So we've got 2 alumni on staff, and he's been part of 6 titles while he's been here. And then Jade starting her, I want to say it's her 5th season. I feel like it was 4th, but and then 2nd as our director of operations. First year, she'll start her 2nd year as director of operations with us, and she's also training to make the Olympic team. And part of 3 championships while she's been here. And so you'll hear more about them later. Do you want me to just jump right into the state of the program?
Yeah, Coach, just tell us what you guys have been up to since the break started almost, actually 3 months ago yesterday. So
wow,
it's been wild.
Well, we've been going through phases, Camden. The first phase was the pajama phase, not getting out of my pajamas for a long time. And then there was the facial hair phase. And now my wife's wanting to know when I'm going to start the exercise phase. So that's what I've been doing. Now, for the rest of the staff, there's been a lot of adjustment. We've been, working on the fly, as our administrators have been. But I would say probably at the first and foremost, we were working to help our student athletes adjust to the changes. That was a big part of our initial phase. And then we got word that the NCAA was going to create relief and allow athletes to get the year back that had started the season. And so we were determining who would be interested in returning and who could return to the team for the next year or for an additional year. Our great academic advisors helped us create a plan to see who was graduating or who could, return, whether it's get into a master's program or a credential program with us. And they did a great job of setting that up. We tried to condition. We have no gym, no track, no parks, and stay-at-home orders. And that during that time, it was very challenging trying to create things and content for our student athletes to engage, to be doing what they want to do. But with all the restrictions, everything was modified. And then just as things were, returning to normal and we were looking at opening up businesses here in LA County, there was the murder of George Floyd, and police brutality moved to the front and center of stage and changed a lot of things for all of us. Now we're just working on to create our best path forward, moving forward. Somewhere in there, we were working on creating budget models. And so these are things that, we got to anticipate a lot of change for next year. So with that said, that's pretty much what we've been doing, I believe, since this started 3 months ago. All
right, Coach. Thank you for that. Can you tell us the impact that COVID-19 had on your season? So you guys were just getting started really with the spring season. You were finishing up the indoor track season as well. Can you tell us about the end of that and the impact that had on your student athletes?
Whew. Well, I definitely want some of our coaches to join us, because my last time seeing the team, we were saying goodbye to get on a plane, Jason and I, and we turned around on a Wednesday, left the meeting, got on a plane, and headed to New Mexico. While we were there, all these things happened, and we can get into that a little bit later, but we weren't even there for the last team meeting that happened a couple days later when the department called everyone together to let them know the changes going on when our world, turned 180 degrees in one day. So that was a crazy time. And I know Coach Sheffield talked to the team that day, as did the administration, and maybe they can talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, Coach Sheffield, what is that like delivering that news to the team that they've been working so hard, to finish the season? And then what's that like to deliver the bad news?
Man, well, it was just very, very, very different. And it was also even a somber moment for all of the team members. I think that just hearing the news and all of it unfold was so fluid. Everything happened so quickly, and it was really surreal that we were sitting practicing the social distance. That was the very first time for me, and I'm sure the team, that we had to practice the whole social distancing. Before, I hadn't ever heard of social distancing. I didn't know that there was a phrase even existing. And so we gathered all of the student athletes in the pyramid, and we had them sit, if you will, those 6 feet apart, which was very crazy for them just as well. And myself believe that Coach Widget was available, Jade was available. I'm not quite sure. I don't believe that Coach Lobo was there, but I believe Coach Herholzer, he was there as well. And they just, we just had to be as delicate, but as very candid as we possibly could, and explain to our entire team that our season was coming to a crushing halt. At that time, we were still able to get on the facility, so still people were looking to they had hope of having a normal still training time. In fact, we weren't sure that the season was going to be completely shut. So we kind of were still easing into it, but things just continued to unfold very quickly. So us finding out that we were not going to be returning, and more importantly, we were going online for our classes. There were a lot of questions. People for sure were reaching out, what's going to happen to Jason Smith? Is he going to be able to compete? On and on. And at that time, we knew that Coach Sythe and Jason Smith, they were both traveling back to California, traveling back home. And so many people were very concerned about both he and Coach Sythe and what their just mentality and emotionally, what does that do? It's track and field is a very unique sport in the fact that you travel so far wherever you are going to be, and you're there just for that moment in time. And that moment for Jason jumping is just a split second. And whether you are running the 100 meters or you're doing a 3,000 steeplechase, you may find yourself traveling in great lengths just for 8 minutes. And that's really super something. So all of his hopes and dreams of becoming just another national championship or champion, or at least competing at the indoor championships, were really devastating for him. It was devastating for our team and our support of him.
Coach Sythe, Coach Sheffield brought up a good point there, that you were with Jason in New Mexico when everything changed. Can you kind of give us the environment that that was going on there? Because obviously everybody's there for the National Indoor Championships when everything's going down. Can you tell us about that? Oh, Coach, I think you're still on mute.
Sorry about that. Can you hear me now?
Right. There you go.
All right. So, we left that team meeting. We headed to the airport, and while sitting there, we heard that the NBA was shutting down. And then we got on a nearly empty plane, arrived in New Mexico where the airport was empty, and then got up the next morning and came down the elevator to head to the track to warm up and pick up credentials, and heard the Pac-12 was pulling out. We got to the facility, stood in line. There was a lot of, kind of whispering and talking going on. And then I got a phone call saying that there was a meeting I needed to be on while I was there standing in line for my credential. And so I sent Jason in to do his warm up. I got on the call and got the news that we were withdrawing from the competition and ordered to come home. Booked a flight. Jason was finished with his warm up, walked out, sat down and told him what was going on. And it was surreal. Like Coach Sheffield said, we were sitting in an environment that seemed otherwise normal. People were warming up. They were going over hurdles. They were jumping in the pits. They were doing laps around the track, just as they would for any championship that was going to take place the next day. And watching Jason go through the emotions and the pain and the frustration and somewhat of a, well, why are they still doing what they're doing while I'm having to turn around and go home? And coming to grips with all of that. We made a decision right there to kind of document our story a little bit. And we took some photos and did some things. We did a hashtag so close and put it on a little, his tape marker that he used for the long jump, put it on his chest and just took some photos and then kind of sat and thought and then went in the hotel. And later that afternoon, we found out the NCAA championships had been canceled. And it all kind of started to come together as we watched everything unravel around us, still not knowing that it was going to get as bad as it was, or that maybe we would be returning to normalcy soon. But I would say it was a very, very long flight home as we went through and processed everything that was going on. Jason's handled it great. Unfortunately, he didn't have his opportunity to compete for a national title in 2 events, but he did become our first athlete in program history to qualify for 2 indoor events in the same year. And he also was recognized by the U.S. Track Coaches Association as an NCAA All-American this year for both the high jump and long jump. So, there's no silver lining on any of this. It's an opportunity missed. But in looking back, we can always reflect on Jason's great year and think about the outstanding things that he did and what he represents and what we have ahead of us, because we still have 2 outdoor seasons with him, even though he doesn't have an indoor season remaining. And so we look forward to that and in Olympic trials and potentially in Olympic Games.
All right. So, Coach, you led right into my next question there. So Jason will be back for outdoors. Is that correct?
That's correct.
All right. So we'll get a chance to see him again and hopefully get him another shot at a national championship jumping in the outdoor sport. So while we're on the topic of seniors, let's talk about the extended eligibility that we're all hearing about. So first off, does that only count outdoor track or does that count indoor track as well?
So athletes who competed in the indoor season do not get that year back. There will be no additional year added there, but for track, they do. And we had a total of 19 seniors this year, and 12 of them plan to return, are hoping to, and there's still some, maybe a few are just still navigating their way to making that happen, but we look to have 12 of those 19 returning.
All right, Coach, can you tell us about the ones that are returning, and maybe each coach can kind of tell us a little bit about each of those student athletes?
Sure. Well, those that are finished, those that, did not have their final year of eligibility, had big plans in mind. They have goals, and their academics are a huge part of that. but also their professions. And so decisions that were made there fell in line with what direction they were going and heading to. And they've got great journeys ahead for all of them. I'm going alphabetically, but I'll go ahead and lead off with Erika Mcnary, one of our men's team captains. He's starting classes for his nursing program. And so coming back and competing would have been a huge distraction for that goal that he was set up to do. Alyssa Allen, another athlete having a phenomenal season to the start of her year. And she's considering getting into a master's degree. She's not ready yet, but she won't be returning. Azaria Hill, one of our great athletes, captain for our program. She graduated and she is applying for graduate school, but she will not be competing for Long Beach State in 2021. Christian Mueller, conference runner-up. He graduated with a near 4.0 in his time here, and he's moving on to his employment. Naomi Peterson graduated early. She actually has 2 years of eligibility, but she's finished and moving on in her life. And then Julie Vargas, our captain for our women's distance squad, graduated and will not be competing in 2021.
All right. What about those that are going to go ahead and come back and put on the black and gold for one more season?
Coach Winge, you want to talk about Cole and Ricky and your guys?
Yeah, sure. Cole Bosley is a grad student that's a transfer from Emporia, Kansas. Immediate leadership came in, had the first meet of the season, qualified for the conference championship, and he's coming back to finish grad school, and we're just hoping we can get some things figured out for him to compete. Gabe Simpson, the conference champion and school record holder in the steeplechase, we're fortunate that he's going to come back and, add a certificate. And so we'll have another year with Gabe. And then Ricky Cardenas is a transfer from Riverside Community College finally was healthy and ready to go. And he's going to come back and finish the year with us. And then we were fortunate to get one young lady to return that she wasn't ready to go to a real job in regular life. She wanted to stay a student another year, student athlete. So Kylie Strausser was a Fresno Community College transfer last year and came in and, has done a great job of mentoring, a lot of these young students, and has done a great job in helping us build up the middle distance program. So we're really happy that she's coming back as well.
Thanks, Sean. Coach Lobel, you with us? You want to talk about your athletes?
Yeah, it sounds great. So I had 3 seniors, part of my group, all females, and tons of leadership. And so I'm very fortunate that I get them back. I'm very fortunate they all want to come back and had to make some changes to their academics to make it happen. So starting with Erika Mcnary, she's our team captain. She's been with me for 4 years now. She's a San Diego native. She's been a tremendous integral part of continuing our family in the throws and kind of keeping that glue together with the girls and being kind of the mother of the group. She's continued with adding a minor into her program to continue that. And she's primarily a hammer thrower for our group who currently has the highest PR in our program right now. And so fortunate to have her back. Amanda Trong, also her 4th year with me. She is continuing, graduating, but starting her teaching credential. And so she's opted to come back and is excited. And then Samantha Perez was a junior college transfer from Saddleback, who was also a hammer thrower. She is continuing, adding a minor and a legal studies certificate to make all of this work. And so I will say that from my senior women, the same day when the team had a meeting regarding we were going on this COVID-19 and we're assuming that our season wasn't going to be over, I will tell you when I looked at the faces later that day of all of my athletes, the 3 faces that I saw that were the hardest hit were those 3 senior women. And so, it's sad to watch that. I couldn't imagine having to go through that as a student athlete, knowing that your senior year was just taken from you. And so at the first wind of the opportunity to come back and join the program, they were right on it without hesitation. And I was really, really happy and thankful and appreciative that they wanted to come back and join our program. And so those are my women. And I think that this second opportunity for a senior season is gonna bring tremendous things next year.
Thanks, Corey. Coach Sheffield?
Whole unmute button going on. Well, gosh, I've been absolutely blessed to be able to have the returners or seniors that we have, and they've decided to return. They've returned for good reasons, and they're not just the athletic reasons. They have seen what their options are and what their potential could be for their own professional careers. So it's always good to put that in the forefront. And so we have on the women's side, we have Madison Golden. Madison Golden was a part of our continuous school record breaking team. She was one of the quad in the 4x1 relay, and we're really excited to have that type of sprint leadership back onto the team, because in general we have a young sprint squad, and anytime that you have just that leadership, it helps make the transition for growth and development very seamless. So we're very excited for her to come on back. And then we have Linnea Griffin, and Linnea is a 400-meter runner. She serves definitely two purposes. She can run a 400 flat out and do well in our conference, but she also will add on to our 4x4. And I do believe that we may have a strong 4x4 this season as we come up. She's again going to add the leadership. She actually is a transfer student, and so I'm really happy to actually have her back. She's going to continue her academic career and get a certification, a teaching certification. And during this kind of the economic pressures and such, I think it's going to serve her well. Let me go back to Madison. Madison will actually complete her degree. So we're really excited about that. On the men's side, man, we have Kent Harris. Kent is coming back. He has been now he'll go into his third year as a team captain. Talking about creating and sustaining stability is really, really good. When we select team captains, it's not a matter of a popular vote. It is a matter of them literally being selected by the previous captain and moving forward. We go through a leadership session or sessions to get them prepared, and so they understand what it is to be a captain. And so just having Kent back and he knowing the ropes, understanding our athletic and team culture is really great. He's been an ambassador for not only our program, but for the university as a whole. He's also received academic honors. This cat, he's a good one. That's the best I can say. He really is a good one. He also has been to the NCAA championships at our regional, so he gets the understanding of what it takes to get to that level. He's able to tell the freshmen, what got you here at Long Beach State won't get you to the national podium. And so that's really good to not only hear from a coaching standpoint, but literally from the captain and a student athlete. I think our biggest bell ringer for our sprint squad is having Raleigh Adams, our hurdler, our 110 high hurdler return. It's very, very exciting to have his experience, his tenacity, his commitment to his craft, and just his personality. His energy is absolutely contagious, and we'll have him come back. Raleigh actually suffered an injury at the NCAA regionals. Now, before all of that, he was breaking records like nobody's business. So he is a school record holder in the highs. As a matter of fact, I believe that he broke the school record. Coach Sythe, maybe you can chime in on this. Was it over 25 years that school record was held?
I believe it was 40 years.
Oh, it was 40. Oh my God. Okay.
Somewhere around there. And
wow.
Yeah, he actually, I don't want to go too far on this, but Raleigh was at the NCAA championship when he injured himself, and he was looking at his best in warm up. And
Yes.
Coach Sheffield commented just before the race, she actually looked a little bit like she had deer in the headlights because she was so amazed, astounded. I don't know what the word was, but she was taken back by how good he looked. And when Raleigh hurt himself, he actually got too close to the first hurdle. He was out so fast. He was ready. He was ready to run an incredible time after running 2 back-to-back great races at the NCAA Regional to advance. So very unfortunate for him, but we're so glad he's healthy and back now.
We're very excited for him to be back. And when we say, well, he ran too fast onto the hurdle, it's really a matter of discipline and understanding your energy and understanding your engine. And so it wasn't necessarily a technical deal. It was more of an emotional deal. I don't know if anybody in your life and time have wanted something so bad and were totally prepped that you weren't not necessarily prepared for it all. However, just keeping calm, if he had just kept calm, then it would have worked out. And so at the end of the day, he's returning. We're excited that he's returning, and the best is yet to come.
I have just one senior. Jordan O'Neill was transfer student from UC Riverside, and she's been a quiet, behind-the-scenes leader for our program. And she enrolled here for a master's degree in sports management and has been a tremendous asset in this season for our program and just for me in our jumps area. As a long jumper, she brings great credentials with her. And it's disappointing because she never had a chance to compete really in uniform for Long Beach State. She graduates with her degree in January of 2021, and we have to petition. We're in the process of filing a waiver to see if the NCAA will let her compete after she's graduated. The current rule says you can compete 60 days after graduation without it impacting you in your eligibility. But with her graduation taking place at an odd time of year in January, she would run out of days before our championship part of the year began. So Jordan has a lot to offer this program, and we would be excited to see her be able to get that waiver and compete and finish out her career at Long Beach State next season.
All right, Coach, thanks for giving us those updates. We're going to have a little bit of fun here and shift gears, something we haven't done on Coaches and Coffee before. But Coach Sythe sent me covertly a few photos of some of our staff back in their competing days. So we're going to see if I can get this to work. It's a little rudimentary, so forgive me. But let's see if I can everybody see what I got going on there? All right, we got.
I'm unmuting myself. See, Coach. See.
We got some pictures of Coach Sheffield here, who, of course, got to run for Team USA and got to compete in an Olympics. So that's pretty exciting there. And then we'll scroll down and look at that. We got Jade putting on the Team USA uniform, and of course, her time at our friends up the street. We'll forgive her for that. And then looks like we got Corey here. Look at that, Corey. On the phone while throwing. That's impressive. And then, of course, over here, the grainy photo. Is that my man, Big Sean? That is. All right. And then we got one more thing I want to show here, if I can get it. I believe this is Coach Sythe.
Don't do it. Don't do it.
This is our man, Coach Sythe, doing a pole vault here.
Oh, that's so back in the day.
Look at that. Look at that. So.
Oh yeah, and my hair's about that long now. So my goodness.
So thanks for sharing those. We wanted to get that out there. I thought that was a little bit of fun. But while we're on the topic, let's talk about Coach Sheffield. So we said earlier, Coach, you were named to the U.S. Team USA coaching team for the upcoming Olympics. So congratulations on that. And we wanted to talk a little bit about what it's like to wear the Team USA jersey. I know that everybody who's ever been an athlete thinks about being an Olympian, and you've had the honor of doing so. And if you could tell us a little bit about that and what that means to do that before as an athlete and then now as a coach.
Now, talking about surreal, it's just really surreal. It's a true 360-degree evolution, and it's just very, very exciting. To be an athlete, your commitment to be an Olympic athlete, your commitment is very, very strong. Not suggesting that it's not for others, but it certainly is very kind of targeted, and you're going for one deal. It's very interesting at an NCAA level, it's a every year situation, but for the Olympic Games, it's every 4 years. So if you miss 1 year, you've got to wait for 4 years. You got to train like a dog, and you got to eat well, and you got to sleep well, and you're doing all of those things. And so my previous Olympic trials, I did not make the team. And so I was just very, very committed and determined that I was going to make that team. You are in the midst of approximately 28 folks or so. Everybody is going for that one goal of making the Olympic team, being top 3. And it is just really, it's crazy and it's very stressful. And you go round after round after round as you advance and advance and advance. And so making the finals, you just never know. With track and field, it's that day, I guess any sport, that day, that hour, that moment. And so just you have no idea what's going to happen in 54 seconds. And so going out there and being a part of something great like that as the Olympic trials is just certainly a feat. Making the team in top 3 in the country is definitely just exhilarating. You're very, very excited. However, you got to get back to business. And the business is now not challenging the United States counterparts, but it's the world. And that within itself is so exciting. If you like to compete, that's the compete of the compete. and having been able to go that route is amazing. I'm hopeful that Raleigh Adams, who, by the way, is also going to be in our sports management master's department, so I'm really excited about that. I'm hopeful that I'm able to train him and get him prepped for that. Hate that COVID happened, but perhaps we may have even a more decent shot. I'm looking forward to continuing to coach Jade and see if we can realize that part as well. Being a coach and knowing what it takes is one thing. And I think I have that experience. And so I'm very excited. By the way, I punched my ticket, Jade, for Tokyo. How about you?
So, Coach, wanted to brag on you for another couple seconds here. So you won, was it the 19? Well, we'll leave out what the year was, but you won the 400-meter hurdles NCAA championship. It says 19, but that can't possibly be true. It had to be
possible.
Like
it's possible.
And people might recognize the name of the lady that you beat, who got second place. Do you remember who that was?
Oh, of course. I remember like it was yesterday, even though it was centuries ago. It was Jackie Joyner-Kersee. She has been deemed a women athlete of the century. I can't speak more highly of her. But at the end of the day, she was a heptathlete, one that actually did 7 events. And so one year she got some crazy notion that she was going to come in my house. Come on now.
So something that you can hold on to there and throw out there, a little trivia for everybody, that Coach Sheffield here beat one of the greatest Olympians of all time in NCAA track. So that was good.
She's great then, and she's great now.
Coach, we wanted to ask you, with your Olympic background, and the accomplishments that you've had, how does that help you guys recruit young ladies and track stars to come to Long Beach State, and have that ability to bring your experience to the table and throw that out there as a lure to other young track stars?
Well, recruiting is recruiting. So, and it's much like this. Many of the student athletes in high school, they know, they recognize that that coaches have accomplishments, but they are not as in awe as maybe their parents, who may be track and field followers. But at the end of the day, there is some benefit, because if there's an athlete that has aspirations to go to the Olympic Games, they are just like eating in your mouth, trying to figure out what's the next word that's going to come out that possibly is going to help them along. So in some cases, it certainly has been a major benefit. I can say that on the sprint side, it's been great to be able to share some of the experiences that I've had in the past. But when I tell them that it was 19, then they go, "Oh, okay." I think I'm better off using Jade as my tool, because she's more closer to it, and she can talk about the stresses that it is to be a professional athlete in 2020, and that might be a little bit more relative to them. But still being able to bring some of the experiences. I was on the team in which, in 2016, in which our 4x1 women dropped the baton, and how we had to get back onto the track and do it by ourselves in a qualifying round. They allowed us to do that, and then for us to go ahead and make that falter be a gold medal. We certainly changed the color of that medal, and I was very, very excited to do that. But you have to be able to handle stresses. I think being a coach of any type of USA team, there's communication skills that you've got to master, and those type of skills I look to always bring back onto our teams.
All right. So, Coach, we mentioned here that you've already punched your ticket to Tokyo, and apparently speed runs in the family, because your daughter Jade, who's our director of operations for the team, is also trying to qualify for the Olympics. So we wanted to bring Jade on here and talk to her for a few seconds about what qualifying's like. And Jade, if we can ask you what the process is, and then now that the Olympics has been delayed a year, what that looks like, and how you're training and continuing to stay motivated with a slight pause in the qualifying.
Yeah, for sure. So I guess first off, I'll just talk about, the general process of it all. And so for track and field, we have an Olympic trials. It was supposed to actually be held this weekend, or this weekend coming up. And so it's typically over the course of 2 weeks, and it's held in Eugene, Oregon. There you have 3 rounds depending on your event, but most events have 3 qualifying rounds. The first round is the whole pool of everyone who has the A standard, the Olympic A standard, and who has basically qualified to even compete at the U.S. Championships. Then they will go ahead through, so it's maybe 3 or 4 heats. And then from there, the top 16 will qualify to the next round. And so then in round 2, you do it again. And then round 3 is the finals, where it's the top 8 people. And at that point, you just got to get top 3. So you have to be top 3 on that day at that time in the United States. So it's definitely a very lofty thing, a very lofty goal and all of that. But at the same time, it's like, that's what I've literally been training for since, I don't know, I was, 10, something like that. So, it's just been a really long process. And I think that I definitely felt the same sentiment, or not the same, but I felt a similar sentiment to the student athletes when they realized that their season got shut down as Jason was coming back from the Indoor Nationals. I had just competed in the USA Indoor Nationals, and this was supposed to be a world championship year. And for the first time, I actually placed high enough that I would have made that U.S. Indoor Championship team, and that would have been my first world team. But that was supposed to be held in Nanjing, China in March. And so that obviously didn't happen. So I missed that opportunity. And then, we were just out there and going out on the track trying to race and get ready and practice and all of that. And it was like, okay, this meet got canceled. Okay, no problem. Let's go ahead and call this person. And, okay, that meet got canceled. No problem. Okay, maybe we can go over. Okay, that one's canceled. And then it was just like a very slow process to realize at the end that the Olympics was going to be postponed as well. So it was definitely challenging and very disappointing because, I'm an athlete. I love this. This is the career that I chose to do. And you're telling me I can't do my job anymore. I can't do my passion anymore. That's tough, for another year at that. But now I've been able to basically reset. We pretty much have gone through, as far as training, we've gone through a phase that's considered cross training. And so we used to practice 6 days a week. We would have 3 days of weightlifting, all the gyms closed, and everybody in all of America, and I guess the rest of the world, decided that they really wanted to invest in their health and fitness, because they bought everything from Amazon, Dick's Sporting Good, Big Five, everywhere, and everything was sold out. And me, as well as so many of my other friends who, are used to going to the gym every day, we obviously don't own any workout equipment to do at home. And so it's like all the professional athletes are looking crazy because they don't have any workout equipment. So I got a little nifty and got some medicine balls and, different things like that to try to get creative. And so we've kind of just been sustaining, but, I'm one of the lucky ones in being young and that I can afford to train another season. So that's my plan. I'm just, I've taken on the perspective that it's delayed, not derailed.
Well, I can tell you that about a week after I bought all that stuff, I quit using it. So I've got it pretty cheap for you, Jade, if you want to snag some of it.
I would definitely take you up on that.
Hey, Camden, can I jump in real quick?
Yeah, please do.
Jade's been such a great asset to our program, and her plan was to compete in the Olympic Games and move on in life. Well, life is still there in front of her as the games have been pushed back a year. So I'd like to congratulate Jade. She's getting married in the fall, in October. So, yep, we're excited about that. Just as we're excited about Brandon here, if you want to talk about him at all.
Yeah, we were, Brandon, Coach, can we've got our, probably our youngest Long Beach State Athletics family member, if you can introduce her to the world.
Yeah, this is Riley Christine. She was born on June 6th, around 12:10. So she's a nice, healthy, big girl. She was 8 pounds, 3 ounces. And luckily, she's been giving her mama and me some sleep, so that's been nice. Definitely a little bit tired, but it's been good. I can say the extra time off with COVID has kind of been a little bit of a silver lining for us. I mean, it gave my wife and I a little bit more time to prep and everything, so it's been good. It's good to have her here right now.
Were you still able to get the nursery ready, or did you put it off like most men until, the very last second?
Living in a one-bedroom house, you don't really have a nursery. But, I built a changing table, so I had a little bit of time to do some crafts.
Coach, I wanted to ask you, we saw a picture there of Coach Sythe's pole vault. Can you give us a little bit of a critique while we got you on? Maybe, it's something he could have done to get a few more inches there.
It's probably the aerodynamics. The hair was just a little too long, or it just needed to be slicked back just a little bit more, and he would have been at least a foot over that bar.
Yeah, I think we might have had an Olympic record if he had, trimmed up the hair just a touch. But thanks, Coach, for popping on. We had one more question here for Jade. Jade, what's it like growing up in a family with Olympian? You're looking at that. You've got mom who's trying to coach you, and most of us, when our parents coach us, it goes in this side and out the other side. But your mom's got a few more credentials than most parents. So what's
Watch
that?
your words, Jade. Watch your words.
Um,
She's still faster than you, kind of. Okay.
I mean, I don't know. Okay, she might have a faster 400 hurdle time, but my 400 time is definitely faster, so I'll stick with that. But yeah, I mean, I think it's really awesome. I know a lot of people who their parents have tried to coach them in any sport, and it just doesn't work at all. But I think that for us, with knowing what she has gone through and knowing what she has accomplished and just all of her credentials and all of that, like, I just know that whatever she's telling me is probably right. And also just knowing that she has my best interest at hand in every moment makes it really easy for me to trust her. So I feel like that has been super helpful, like having that perspective as a coach. I don't have the, like, man, this lady, she don't know what she's talking about. I'm never feeling like that. How sometimes you feel like that with other coaches that you don't know them as well. So that's definitely a benefit that I have. I think also just growing up with her, that knowing all the great things that she accomplished, it somewhat normalized it for me, because just every day I was around someone who has experienced what, less than 1% of the population can say that they've experienced. And so to some extent, it's been normalizing in a way that it makes it so it feels so much more possible for me. And whenever I have a huge dream, it doesn't seem like it doesn't seem too far. It seems like, oh, I know someone who was able to do this. It seems attainable. So I would say that's probably the benefit of growing up with someone who has achieved so much, is that it makes me feel like, well, hey, why would I want to do something that 5% of the population can do when I could do something that 1% does? So that's kind of been my perspective for that.
All right, Jade. Well, thank you very much for telling us your story, and good luck. We'll be rooting for you, and we've officially adopted you, so you can put the red and gold away and start putting on black and gold.
And then I have a question for Corey.
Let's do it.
To another coach. Corey, you have seen such great success in the throws. It seems like you are able to develop any and every type of thrower in any and every type of event, whether it be your shot or your discus or your javelin. Like, what's your secret, dude?
That's a great question. I don't have the secret. I think the bottom line, I think the success of this group that I've been working with for I just finished my 14th season, has just been the dedication of the individual athlete. I've been fortunate enough to work with athletes who really, really, really want to work hard. And when you have an athlete, when you get to work with an athlete like that, there's not a lot that's going to get in their way of whatever their goals are. And the crazy thing is, when you talk about all different levels, is, I don't go after the blue chip athletes too often when I recruit. I've had tremendous success taking, just walk-on athletes and building school record holders or an All-American with those types of people. And that's probably the most rewarding experience that I've achieved at this level, is just working with those who nobody knew in high school, never looked at, didn't know a thing about it, and then all of a sudden they've achieved a very high level. And actually about 5 or 6 years ago, I was coaching at a throws clinic before, and I was representing Long Beach State. UC Irvine was there, UCLA was there, and I think 2 other colleges. I think Northridge was there, and we were introducing some of our helpers. And UCLA got up, and he was announcing his athletes, because I think he had 2 girls there that were like number 1 and number 2 in high school in the country, and they were now sophomores or juniors in college, and they were talking about it. And then another guy who was ranked maybe in the top 10, maybe top 15 in the shot put. And then I get up and I talk about one of my team captains and one of my best shot putter I've ever coached is Victor Marton. And he was a kid who, didn't even place probably in his conference in high school. Maybe was top 5 or 6 at a junior college level in the state. And, he's a kid who went pretty much 0 to 60 in a matter of just a few months his senior year, and just did an incredible job and put himself on the map, where he was standing next to these others who he was almost at the same level at that point in their college career, but had none of that success going through high school and his first few years of college. And so I was really proud to be able to be standing next to him during that time, because it was a proud moment for me. And he served as an assistant coach for me because he has great character, has worked for our athletic department, now currently works for Cal Poly Pomona. And so, it's just getting the right people in, the ones that want to work hard and take the direction and the guidance that I can provide to them. And really I don't think there's a magical formula. It's just getting the right kid. And that's what it comes down to. I can give them the tools, but they got to be able to do the work. And if they can do that, then I think they can achieve what they want.
That's good stuff, Coach. So we want to change directions a touch here and start asking you guys about what you guys are doing for training and how you guys are keeping athletes engaged. So obviously right now there's limited time to get on equipment, and for things like the throws, Coach, we'll stick with you. You're not able to get out there with the equipment and do the throwing and things that you would normally do. So what kind of activities are you having the student athletes engage in over this summer period to help stay in shape and stay working on their craft?
Right now, the biggest thing is the weight room. I would say for the throws, probably more than any other sport in the world other than actual Olympic weightlifting, it provides the most. It can not guarantee, but it can provide the most success in your event by just being strong. It has a direct reflect on that. And so that's been integral. It's also been great that, my women's roster was plagued with a lot of injuries. It's been an opportunity for them to get healthy and work on more body weight things and just kind of do some prehab and rehab and getting them ready to start training this whole cycle over again. And for those that, a lot of them have home equipment. I have a freshman this year, Gavin Fua, threw up 150 kilos in the snatch at home, which is a tremendous amount of weight. I mean, this is like Olympic lifting amounts that he is doing, where he can compete at a national level, and he's a thrower. And so these guys are just trying to get strong as they can right now. We've done some activities where some creativity things where I asked them to take one of your events. I want you to create a skill that where you are currently working on with your technique, and use something at home that can help you achieve whatever skill you're trying to work on, whatever particular part of the movement that we're trying to work on. And we did this in a video. It's probably been about 6 or 8 weeks since we've done something like that, but little things like that keep them moving with their mind forward and getting creative, because at this point it's really creativity. We don't really have anywhere to throw. People who are throwing are finding a sidewalk with an empty park, which parks have been really empty for a long time. So some people would have to sneak into a park off a sidewalk or something like that. Our facility is not open, and it's difficult to throw a hammer without a hammer cage for safety reasons and purposes. But I know that they're wanting to get out there and train hard, but they're just simply limited. But they're hungry, which is good.
For those of you on the call that run in pounds, I did a quick math here. 195 kilos is 429 pounds for those of us that needed some quick math. So, Coach Corey, wanted to ask you a quick question here. We saw you with the phone in your picture. What were you advertising there? It looked like it was in Swedish or something.
You know what? That was actually the advent of the smartphone. That was done in 2005. They actually were doing a print ad. I was approached by a company. I did one other marketing thing for them, but they needed a hammer thrower, specifically a hammer thrower, to be throwing and talking on this smartphone. And that actual picture was posted. It was supposed to be posted at bus stops in Helsinki, Finland, where the World Championships were in 2005. And so, to my knowledge, that got posted there. I got paid a little bit of money. They fed me pretty good, and I got to do a little photo shoot, which was, not something I'd ever done before. So that was kind of cool.
Is that a training regimen that you have the team do, or they're talking on the phone, or is that something you try to get them to stop doing? So that
something I don't advise with something that can be lethal. So, it was funny. It was so hard to take that picture because of the head position. It's not normal for that in the throwing event. So it's like a balance issue. And so we did a lot of still pictures, and but they made it work out pretty good. So that was pretty cool. I was honored that I was chosen for that.
All right, Coach Brandon, can you tell us a little bit about, because obviously it's going to be hard to pole vault right now, so what are you getting your student athletes to do to help keep them engaged?
So, I mean, kind of reiterate what Corey was saying. I think that none were really plagued with injuries, but I took the time to kind of at least let them recover. A lot of the work right now is going into rehab. I took some time to just revamp all the programming that kind of I provide to athletes. Took some time to collaborate with our nutritionist, the athletic training room, the strength complex, just to kind of provide one holistic program that kind of just gives them the rundown of an entire day, what they should be doing. Yeah, it's kind of hard to pole vault, but I think that just the general prep that they need right now is going to put us, if they're doing it appropriately, is going to put us on a nice path forward. So, I mean, if we can come back further ahead than we typically are starting the beginning of fall, then, I mean, everything leading forward will be, I mean, that much better.
Coach, I had a question for you. For those of us that have been on campus and walked by during some of your practices, you guys have that jungle gym apparatus that's out there, and you got people doing all kinds of things. It looks a little Cirque du Soleil out there. Can you tell us what you guys are doing on that and how that's helping improve our athletes?
Yeah, I think that all of it is, I mean, we do a little bit of ring work, we do a little bit of high bar work, and it's all just coordination based. So, I mean, anything that can kind of help the coordination, them being a little bit more dynamic, it's going to have some really good transfer to, I mean, the pole vault as well as some of the different multi-events. So anything overhead, just looking for good transfer to all that.
The risk management department told me to stay as far away from that as humanly possible. So fun to watch you guys do it, but I'll stay out of there. So we'll toss it over to Coach Sheffield. Coach, what are you guys doing on the sprint side to keep people engaged?
Well, you know, I'm very excited to be able to tell athletes, literally, check out and really engage in your academics and get that schedule along. So we've been working on a few things that we want to really emphasize, and really excited to even be able to report that we've had great results academically. We have some all-stars, and I'm sure Coach Sythe can speak on that as far as it being as a whole in the team. But sometimes, you know, you're exhausted and your academics kind of stray a bit. But the athletes, I've just literally encouraged them to dig in deep in their academics. I've been very, very proud of them because they've made a great transition, and a jarring transition from being in line on person and then making a almost seamless, because the grades have come out and they've made that seamless kind of transition to just being online. And so I'm very confident that in the fall we're going to be okay. In terms of athletics, we've been doing the cross training as everyone else is doing, things that we can do indoor or around our home. We've been doing things like that. It's very, very important. Let's just imagine this. So you have a sprinter, a hurdler, and even someone on the relay. You're asking them to go from 0 to real fast very quickly, very, very quickly. And if you blink, you'll miss it. So I got to tell you, fans, you'll miss it if you're not paying attention. And so we're asking them to go very fast. There's a technical component that is desired there, is required there. And so we've got to do those things. So the biggest thing for me this season during COVID is your core strength. So all the planking, even doing jumps, just in-home jumps, standing still and going up and down, that is plyometrics, and that also builds power. So we've been, we're not able to run like we want to sprint, but we certainly have been able to push hard towards some of the things that maybe perhaps we're not able to get done. And I think that we'll come back in decent shape. Nothing prepares you for fall training anyways. And then our last component has been psychology. And so our sports psychologists, we've really just tried to push towards people having and increasing their mentality ability to focus and things of that sort. So sports psychology and nutrition, my refrigerator is just steps away. When I come back, I might be a little bit more plump. I'm going to try to, dig it in. But at the end of the day, I can imagine our student athletes are feeling the same. So we've been pushing for their nutrition as well as their sleep habits to remain the same.
All right. Thanks, Coach. Let's swing over to Coach Wingett. Coach, before you talk, just wanted to get my boy Pat on here and celebrate our Chiefs Super Bowl victory. Coach Wingett is a Kansas native as well. I'm from Missouri, but we're all Chiefs fans. So quick shout out there to
yeah. Good year.
Good year. Coach Wingett, you guys are you're running the distances. What are you guys doing? You're probably a little bit more able than some of the others to get out there, but what are you guys doing to mix it up?
Well, we definitely have the best advantage, other than the fact every running shoe in the country's been purchased by all these people that are walking up and down my street all day long. It's like Disneyland out here on First Street. They're in the street, they're in the grass, they're all over the place, which is kind of cool to see, other than they're blocking the way for my kids to run through. So, our situation's obviously a little bit different because we have 3 seasons. So we start in August and we end in June. We go from cross country to indoor to outdoor. So, we had just started the outdoor, and, we tried to keep working out for a little bit to try to do some time trials and some things like that. I think some people around the country have actually done some really great time trials because all they have to do is focus on being a professional athlete right now. Even the high school kids are, putting up some of these amazing national record times because all they're doing is eating and sleeping and, doing what, their homework. They don't have to go to class, and, their social life is very restricted. So there's been a lot of great, times and events that have happened around the country with, on videos and whatnot. But so it's been pretty simple for mine because they can go run. We took a couple weeks to rebuild and regroup, and, like every other coach, we're really working on, trying to get mental aspect and, nutrition down. I think I've almost given up on the sleep habits of mine. I think, they've all become, nocturnal, and they go to bed about 4 a.m. They get up about 2 p.m. So, I think it's all flip-flopped, and, I know the video game world has definitely increased because my kids have more free time than they have in the past. So we've been very fortunate that we can go out and run. The streets are open, and they haven't been able to get into some parks and things like that. So hopefully we'll come back healthy. But if we try to stay off the roads and the sidewalks as much as we can, and every trail in California was shut down and every park was shut down, so that hindered them a little bit. But it's not like anybody else's group where they're really got their hamstring, or they're tied up, and we have the ability to go out and hit the roads. So it's been different, and we're also trying to get them to do a lot more core work, just come back fitter, and stronger, so when we do start adding weights when we get back, it won't be quite a shock to the system. So we're the fortunate group that we get a little more freedom out there. But it's going to be interesting to see how they respond from trying to find that happy medium of just too much mileage, running too slow. So we've got people that probably will come back and be shocked when we start trying to get into the race situation in the fall. And so that's the biggest thing. We've had to revamp our training plan and try to get people prepared for a longer build-up phase, and there can be a too long of a build-up phase. So we're trying to walk the edge and stay healthy and right.
Coach, you mentioned that cross country starts in August. So what are you guys doing? That's coming up here really quickly. As we look down at the calendar, it's already June 15th. So
yeah,
you got about 45 days till August 1st, and probably 2 months until you guys are back to training. Is there any word on when you guys might be able to come back?
As of right now, first day of practice is August 17th. Until we're told differently, we're moving August 17th. Our first meet is scheduled to be September 1. if things keep moving like they are, that could happen. There's talks of moving, the season back a couple weeks, being able to report early, but no competitions until, mid-September, end of September. So, it's, you can pretty well say anything you want and throw out a date, and somebody has utilized that date as said date. But as of right now, we're planning on August 17th to report for first day of practice and September 1 for our first meet until we're told differently. The NCAA says fall sports are happening, so here we go.
Well, I know we're all crossing our fingers, hoping that that holds and that we get some fall sports. Coach Sythe, we're going to turn it over to you to talk about what you're doing to keep your crew engaged, and then we'll have you kind of wrap us up here and send us off on the rest of our Monday.
Okay. Well, first of all, I'd love to hear some questions from everybody out there, so I'm going to keep it short. Not a whole lot different than what everyone else is experiencing. Keeping our kids engaged, working on having them come back healthy. These are our priorities. There was a time period there where I was even a little fearful of sending out workouts to them in the worry that might give the impression that they needed to go to places that they shouldn't be going to during lockdown and while everybody was at stay at home. So the student athletes were doing a lot of stuff in their house, videos online, Zooms with their teammates, things like that, doing conditioning in the living room, and now they can get out and they can do some things. And so we've expanded our program to include outdoor running and various different things. But the main thing is to get them in a position where they can come back and be prepared for fall. And that means they need to, work on their endurance and they need to work on their strength. So that's our focus now. And we're looking forward to a return in the fall.
Coach, we did have one question that came through here, and folks were asking how your team finished up this spring academically and how they were able to adjust from going from in-person classes to online.
Okay, well, first of all, it was a transition, and it just happens that I have some statistics right here in front of me. So I've been working on this recently. Grades were official on Friday. I want to give a shout out to Coach Winget. His women's cross-country team had a 3.26 GPA, and 30% of his roster had a 4.0. Just absolutely amazing. Our women's indoor track had a 3.35 GPA. Our outdoor women's GPA was 3.29. Our women's team had a total of 10 4.0s on it. Great numbers. Our men's indoor track squad had a 3.15 GPA. Our men's cross and men's outdoor track were barely below the 3.0 standard. In total, we had 4.0s on our men's team. So really proud. There were some athletes that struggled a little bit with the transition, and then there were those that thrived. And we, as you can see by the numbers or hear by the numbers, there were a lot that thrived too.
And for those of you that are on here and are wondering about the transition to online, we are in a couple weeks going to have Tamika and some of the folks from our Bickerstaff Academic Center join us and talk about that transition. So keep in touch and pop on for that one, because it's been a big transition for them as well. Coach Sythe, do you have any last remarks before we part for the rest of the week?
Do we get any questions from the group, or we run overtime?
Yep, that was the one that came through. So I think we're good to go.
Okay, well, there were a lot of faces on there that I haven't seen in a long time, and it's good to see all of you out there. Thank you for coming on and supporting us. We are always in a position to where our goal is to win championships. Our goal, like Coach Lobel, is to take a product at whatever level they come in and develop it into an All-American and qualify people for an NCAA championship. And I'm proud to say that this staff, and as you've seen by the numbers, they've been with us. We've been together for a long time, and to sustain a great staff like this, it just makes me absolutely proud. And I'm reminded constantly about how blessed I am to be at this university and to work with great people. And so moving forward, our goals remain the same. You know, we had a strong men's team. Our women's team was definitely on a rebound and showing great early signs of returning to the top of the podium where we were in 2018. And so we're still defending champions on the men, and we plan to go out and bring home championships to Long Beach State and continue to have the Jason Smiths and the Raleigh Adams and the many others that are developing into the role of All-American with this program. And so we are going to be adding in a great recruiting class. And so it's going to be an exciting future for Long Beach State track and field.
All right, Coach, thank you very much. And we look forward to seeing you guys this fall back on the track, and excited to get back at it. So thank you all for showing up. I see a few faces out there. We've got Nelson Ferris up there in the home of track and field up there in Oregon and in Nike. So excited to see some faces out there again, and we look forward to seeing everybody back this fall. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next week. Go Beach!